I get on the phone and I'm talking to a detective from NYPD. He says, look, we had a retired detective. His name was Donald Pagani Sr. He was doing a money drop for his family business. He got, ambushed by this gang of thugs, got to shootout. He got killed. And we think some of the suspects have fled to Colombia. And the detective went on to tell me that there were a suspect in over 50 armed robberies of jewelry stores, banks, other kind of robberies in the city. They had netted over, now this is 1999, over $33 million. As soon as we get up on the phones, it's like what you see in the movies. It's like jackpot, the first call. These guys are talking about the robberies. They're talking about the murder.
Every shift starts the same way, with intent and purposeful preparation. Gear double and triple checked, making sure you're ready for the day. But once you step outside, nothing about the day is guaranteed. You face the unpredictable, the weight of decisions that matter. That's why Galls stands behind the uniform, to provide the reliability and support that helps you stay ready. Supporting the hero behind the uniform. Galls is proud to serve those who serve.
In the Bronx, a retired NYPD detective was ambushed and killed by a highly organized robbery crew known as Los Colombianos. Within hours, the suspects vanished, fleeing the country on fake passports, believing they were beyond reach. But one phone call from New York to Bogota would trigger an international manhunt and prove that when one officer falls, the brotherhood responds.
Chris Feistl, former DEA agent. Welcome to Gold Shields, Chris.
All right, thanks, guys. Great to be with you, Tom and Dan.
Chris, listen, we're going to get right into this because it's such a compelling story, and we know your DEA background. 1999, you're in Colombia, and how do you hear about this case, and what's the steps you take?
I get on the phone and I'm talking to a detective from NYPD. And he starts to explain to me, he says, look, I really need your guys' help. So, what do you say to that? Of course, I said, of course, we'll assist. There's no real drug nexus to this, but we'll help in any way we can. And as a matter of fact, we have a sensitive investigation unit, this highly trained police CMP unit that can work on it. So what do you need from us? Give me the background on the story so I can get as much information as possible. So that's the phone call that starts this whole thing up. So the detective tells me, and I'll get into the whole background of the story here, where he says it was late August, 1999. Donald Pagani was working they owned a meat packing company and a poultry business in the Bronx. So he was working like nighttime security with a relative, one of his cousins. That like they often did is they got the proceeds, or they would do money drops from the business. They would take it to a bank and they would make the deposits. So what happened on this particular evening was there was this band, this group, this gang of thugs in New York that went by the name of Los Colombianos, the Colombians. And what they were, it was this highly sophisticated robbery crew. Now, how I can compare it to, if your listeners, if you've ever seen the movie Heat, right, with Pacino, De Niro, Val Kilmer, Sizemore, where you have this professional crew of robbers, and these guys were doing the same thing. They would do extensive surveillance on their targets. They knew the area. They would recon the targets that they were thinking about robbing. They wore ski masks. They wore bulletproof vests. They had night vision goggles. They had automatic weapons. So this was like a very professional crew. And the detective went on to tell me that these guys, check it out, they were a suspect in over 50 armed robberies of jewelry stores, banks, other kind of robberies in the city. They had netted over, now this is 1999, over $33 million from these robberies over a 4-year time span. And they were suspect in other robberies, and they had them linked to these different cases and investigations in 6 different states. So on this evening, They surveil Pagani. They know the route that he's going to take. And what they would do is they would always try to get their targets into a choke point or an area that was advantageous to them. So they ambush Detective Pagani. Pagani gets in a shootout with these guys. He ends up killing one of the bad guys, a guy by the name of Fernando Colorado. Some of the guys flee. Detective Pagani gets out of the car. He tries to chase down the rest of the guys. One of these idiots comes up from behind him, shoots him several times in the back and neck, kills Detective Pagani. So on the bad guy that Detective Pagani killed, they found an address book. And in the address book were multiple names, phone numbers, addresses, all kind of stuff. But some of this information corresponded to what they thought was Colombia. So I said, pass me whatever you have and we'll take a look and we'll see what we can do. And he said, now look, we have reason to believe that some of these guys may have went to Colombia. They travel back and forth on fake Colombian passports. And what they would do is during these heists, the jewelry, diamonds, gold, cash, they would take whatever they had or that they robbed in New York, they would fly back to Colombia and then they would sell the stuff down there. Then they would come back and then they would start this whole process over. They would find a target, do their surveillance, find an area where they thought that they could take them out that was advantageous to them, and boom.
This isn't just coffee. It's a story in your cup. Bone Frog Coffee Company was born from a tribute to the U.S. Navy SEAL Brotherhood, honoring the courage, sacrifice, and relentless drive of the men who serve. And at the heart of it all is Bone Frog Blend, a medium roast crafted from organically grown beans from Indonesia, Central and South America, with rich notes of chocolate, citrus, and a smooth finish you'll savor every morning. When you brew Bone Frog, you're not just fueling your day, you're supporting veteran-owned business and the families of those who gave their all. Bone Frog, coffee that tells a story.
Patriot is a premium whiskey hard seltzer. We've carefully crafted 4 flavors that not only taste exceptional, but can be enjoyed on any occasion, anytime. We're committed to giving back 5% of all profits to the core groups we call the backbone of America. We are proud to help those who serve our great country. This is America's Seltzer, the brand that stands for quality, community, and the American spirit.
Within days, investigators were on the ground in Bogota. The suspects believed they had disappeared into a city of millions, beyond the reach of New York law enforcement, but they didn't realize the hunt had already begun. Surveillance teams moved quietly through Barrio Kennedy, and soon the phones would start ringing.
So after a couple of days of surveillance, we're able to identify some additional individuals, but we don't know who they are at this point in time. And we, through some more surveillance, through passport checks, through immigration checks, we get some names. We get the Colombian National Police to go up on some of the phones. And immediately, this is in November now, so this is a couple months after the murder, we developed some intel. As soon as we get up on the phones, it's like what you see in the movies. It's like jackpot, the first call. These guys are talking about the robberies. They're talking about the murder. They're talking about what happened in New York, in the Bronx that day. Because part of their crew is still up in New York. And there's a lot of media coverage going on at this point on the television talking about Detective Pagani's death. So these guys are calling back and forth. They're trying to find out what's going on. They think they're safe in Colombia. So we start to get this great Title III information. So what we're able to do at that point is we call back to NYPD, we get the SDNY, the prosecutors on board, and we're like, look, we're starting to identify a lot of people. We're getting this great evidence. What you guys need to start doing now is get some indictments and start securing provisional arrest warrants so that we can extradite these guys, because most of them were Colombian citizens. The only way we were ever going to get them out of Colombia was to indict them, get provisional arrest warrants, and pursue extradition. So we collect the information. We've got this great evidence. We forward it up to Southern District of New York, the prosecutor's office, and the Detective Bureau. They get indictments against 6 of these individuals in Colombia for Hobbs Act violations. So with the Hobbs Act, if you commit crimes of extortion, kidnapping, robbery, and conspiracy in furtherance of those crimes, and you obstruct interstate commerce or foreign commerce, then that applies. So they end up indicting them on Hobbs Act violations. So what we're able to do at that point, because of all the great evidence that the police have collected down there, we get search warrants through the Colombian prosecutor's office. And we go out and we execute search warrants on multiple properties in this Barrio Kennedy neighborhood. And just to give you a little bit of information here, things in a foreign country working with the prosecutor's office are very different than they are in the United States. So when you guys are on scene and you're doing an investigation or you're doing a search warrant, you're basically running that operation. You serve a search warrant, your team goes in there, you decide what you're going to seize, what's relevant to the case, what you think could be evidence to help you. We're able to do search warrants on the houses. We go inside and it's a gold mine. We find evidence of gold, jewelry, diamonds, a lot of the stuff that was stolen out of these New York robberies, cash. We find weapons. So after about 30 minutes, we finally get these guys handcuffed, okay? So while we're in there searching, there are stacks of photographs on the table. And again, these guys were pretty clever. What they were doing was they had a woman with a baby, and then they would have another person taking photos of them in front of these jewelry stores, in front of these banks, in front of the street signs in New York, in front of other landmarks. You know, and anybody passing by, you can say, oh, it looks like a guy taking a photo of his wife and baby. But what they were doing, they were really reconning the area and taking photographs so that they can plan the operation. So we see all of these photographs and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is a gold mine. We can link these guys to, so many different robberies, or maybe these were ones that they were anticipating doing too. So I asked the prosecutor to take and seize the photographs because they're very relevant to the case. And they say, well, it has their family pictures and it's of the wife and the baby. So no, we're not gonna take those photographs. So, now I'm beside myself, ready to pull my hair out, right? So the prosecutor walks away. I go over to the major who runs the Colombian National Police Unit. And I'm like, look, take these photos, take them because we're taking them because these are relevant to the case. So we end up taking that. So make a long story short, we arrest 5 out of the 6 guys that were indicted in New York on the Hobbs Act violation for the murder of retired Detective Pagani.
When it comes to the safety of law enforcement, first responders, and military personnel, every moment counts, especially in the dark. Streamlight provides the reliable, high-performance lighting solutions that these heroes trust in the most dangerous situations, whether it's a car stop, navigating dark alleyways, or exploring abandoned buildings. With Streamlight by their side, our heroes can tackle challenges with confidence, knowing they have the power of advanced lighting technology to guide them. From the first responders on the front lines to the law enforcement officers ensuring our safety, Streamlight is there to make every mission a little easier and much safer. Join us in supporting those who protect us. Visit Streamlight.com to discover how you can be part of the team keeping our heroes safe. Because when they shine, we all shine.
Looking for powerful defense without the mess? Meet Impact, a revolutionary line of chemical irritants designed for law enforcement, military, and personal protection. With no blowback, no cross-contamination, and easy cleanup, Carry Impact delivers unmatched stopping power without the hassle. Whether you're in the field or on the street, safety should never be compromised. Protect yourself with the next generation of defense. Carry impact. Stopping power, redefined.
The hunt didn't end with the arrests. It ended in a courtroom. 6 men, tied to violence in New York, now facing justice across borders. What started with intelligence and cooperation would be tested in trial, and in the end, the system would have the final word.
The sixth person who was indicted, we get information over the telephone. He knows what's going on now. They want to leave. He wants to leave Colombia. He's preparing to go to the airport to flee to Ecuador. So we're able to grab him. So we get all 6 of the main defendants in Colombia. New York is also able to develop intel on their end through their investigation, and they indict and arrest an additional 6 defendants of this crew. So we end up getting 12 people altogether. The main guy, Alex Restrepo, went to trial. He was convicted. He got life in prison without parole. One of the other main guys, I think, he was convicted. He got life in prison. And some of the other people got like 20-year sentences. So they got hammered. They went to trial. They got hammered.
That's the way it works in the federal system in America, and it's one of the beauties of the federal system that when you're in law enforcement, you got a really, really bad group of guys, and you take them in and you use acts like the Hobbs Act.
You know, I am sure, the not just the NYPD, Chris, but the family of this fallen detective, what they must have just thought of the work that you did. I know, and Dan knows because we lived it. Thank you in their own way, maybe without being right in front of you, but you have no idea what you did to that family and the entire NYPD.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that.
Really.
There are a lot of people who did a lot of good work all around, and that's what really makes this a very good case and kind of like a case study is that there was cooperation and collaboration by so many different elements. You had a foreign police agency, you had DEA, you had the Southern District of New York Federal Prosecutor's Office, you had state police, and you had everybody working together, sharing intelligence to come to a common goal. So there was a lot of good work by a lot of people.
And all the best ones are humble like you are, and so we appreciate and we recognize that. These kind of guys, these transnational criminal groups, which is what they are, they're bouncing back and forth. They're using America as a piggy bank or an ATM. They're coming up to rob people. They're doing their homework. They're dangerous people. And had they not crossed over the line and committed this homicide of a retired detective, who knows exactly what sort of effort would have been put forward or what would have been pulled together. And I'm not putting anybody down who had a case on any of them. I'm just saying something like this that shines a light on it allows for all this to happen. So this was their worst move ever. They kicked the sleeping dog. And the sleeping dog of American law enforcement is with tentacles around the world. So it doesn't matter where you run. It doesn't matter where you think you're going to hide. We have a way. We have a way to do it. And so if you're out there and listening to this podcast and you're thinking of doing something stupid, I'm kidding. I don't think our listeners keep them up in transnational organizations, but the DEA is a great organization. You're a great example of one of the reasons Tom and I enjoyed working with them every chance we had to do it. And you guys do amazing work around the world. And again, to echo him, thank you for this on behalf of the Pagani family, who I do not know, but yet they are family. And behalf of the NYPD family, thank you. And everything that was done. Now, you had to ask the Colombians, it's really cool to fly over Manhattan in a helicopter. They must have loved that because the first time I did it, I was like a little kid. It's a blast.
Oh, they enjoyed it beyond words. And to give you just a little side story too, it was funny because, back in 1999, the per diem rate in New York, it was kind of high, but it doesn't go that far, right? So they put us up at the Plaza Hotel. So the Colombians, they get up, they're all excited, they're all dressed up. They go down to, they'd never been to New York before. So they go down in the restaurant, they order breakfast and they're eating, and each of them has their own per diem. So the bill came for each of them. And you can imagine the breakfast at the Plaza Hotel. their per diem for the whole day was spent just on breakfast at the Plaza Hotel. And I remember them, coming up to me and they're like, "Hey, senor, like, hey, we don't have any more money. We've spent all of our money on breakfast. Like, how is this so expensive here?" And I always think about that, and it always brought it back a laugh. But they were super impressed with everything, and as you said, the tours and the cruise and the helicopter. It was over the top. They were completely blown away.
That's fantastic. I love hearing that. Love hearing that.
And they deserved all of it. They deserved all of it.
Yep. And you know what? This is just an example of, look at some things that are going on today, not to get off on track, but this is why law enforcement, federal, state, local are one team and one family. And when you don't back up one of your family members, it gets broken. And here's a perfect example. You're in a different country and a different, all the way, south down in Colombia, get a phone call from New York and it's a no-brainer. Yeah, we got it. Let's go. Not a thought, not a, well, it's the NYPD and we're federal and you're this. And, there's none of that crap that you hear about today, which infuriates us all. And this is why we're one family, because we watch out for each other. Because why? It's all we got.
Yeah, we got
That's
to
all
take
we
care of
got.
each other, and we got to help each other out. And the other thing too is, I hope this case sends a message that anybody who's listening, that, as you said before, if you harm a law enforcement officer, it does not matter from what department, what state, or what city. All of the resources of those departments, the U.S. government, federal agencies are going to come down, and you will be caught, you will be found, and you will be punished to the fullest extent of the law. So, and this is another indication, example that it's not going to go unpunished, and people will not stop ever until these people are brought to justice.
To hear more stories like this, follow Gold Shields on YouTube, Spotify, and all social platforms. Your support helps us continue bringing you real experiences, real voices, and the moments that shape lives.